am Rosa Janice Sagliari of AB English 3B, and good morning to my instructor, Miss Joy Ambia, and to all AB English students of ASCAD, good day. And now I am here to discuss about the rules of punctuation and capitalization. And I will give a 3 example pair rule. So let's discuss first the punctuations. Punctuations, it is a system that organizes our thoughts and ideas in writing. Applied correctly, punctuation can guide and deliver our expressions with impact and clarity. Our punctuation rules help you establish the proper framework for conveying your messages. And here are the punctuations. Spacing with punctuations, periods, commas, semicolons, colons, quotation marks, parentheses and brackets, apostrophes, hyphens, ellipses, question marks, exclamation points, slashes, and dashes. In a computer, use only one space following the punctuation marks. The space needed after this punctuation mark is proportioned automatically. Like for example, the student left her bag, cell phone, and a lunchbox at school. I put the space after the comma, the punctuation marks. And I also put here the space after the comma. And another example, she gave me a wallet, bracelet, and a flower. I put the space here after the comma. Another example, I put some salt, pepper, broccoli to the dishes. I put the space here after the comma, and also here a rule of spacing with punctuations. Used no spaces on either side of a hyphen. Like for example, she's 23 years old. I didn't put space between the 23 because I used hyphen. We borrowed 35 sheets of paper. I didn't use space here because I used hyphen. She dropped 42 pounds. I didn't use space because I used hyphen. So we're done with the spacing with punctuations, and let's go forward to the use of periods. In rule number 1 of period, use a period at the end of a complete sentence. Like for example, she lived in London. I put the period because it is a complete sentence. And another example, I knew him well. I put the period. And then they are strangers. I put the period because these all examples is a complete sentence. Another rule of periods: if the last items in the sentence ends with abbreviation that ends period, do not follow it with another period. Like for example, this is Alice, MD. And the last item is MD and a period, so that you should not put another period after this period. Another, please stop, Coke, etc. We will do the laundry. Another, Joy Capistrano, the president of ASCAD, is a teacher with a PhD. The last item is the PhD and a period, so do not put another period after this PhD in the period. Another rule of period, question marks and exclamation points replace and eliminate periods at the end of a sentence. Like for example, wow, amazing, great. The exclamation points are having the period so that no need to put another period. And also here, another, don't use another period, and also here. So we're done with the periods, and let's go forward to commas. Use comma to separate words, word groups in a simple series of 3 or more items. Like for example, my state goes to my husband, son, daughter-in-law, and nephew. I used to put comma to separate 3 members of the family. Another example, I love singing, dancing, arts, and sports. I used to put comma to separate the 4 activities or 3 activities. Another example, I keep on moving, screaming, and shouting. I used to put comma to separate 3 activities. Another rule of commas. Use commas to separate 2 adjectives when the order of adjective is interchangeable. Like for example, he is a strong, healthy man. I used to put a comma here to separate 2 adjectives because the 2 adjective is interchangeable. Another example, we stayed at an elegant, historical, and expensive summer resort. I used to put the comma to separate the 2 adjectives. Another example, she lived with beautiful, arrogant, and smart people. I used to put the comma here to separate the 2 adjectives, the beautiful and arrogant. Another rule of comma, rule number 3A. 2 independent clauses together using a comma instead of a period. Like for example, after he walked all the way home, he shut the door. I used to put the comma to put together the 2 independent clauses instead of a period. And another example, before she won the game, she absolutely gave her best. I put the comma here to put together the 2 independent clauses. Another example, after knowing that he is a liar, I have sense all about him. I used to put the comma to put together the 2 independent clauses instead of a period. Another rule number 3B. In a sentence, when 2 independent clauses are joined by connectors such as and, or, but, and etc., put a comma at the end of the first clause. Like for example, he walked all the way home and he shut the door. I used to put the comma here before the connector. At the end of the first clause, I put the comma and followed by a 1 space and a connector. Another one, she filled me with love and she gave me abundant life. And she gave me abandoned left. I used to put the comma at the end of the first clause and then followed by one space and a connector at the end. Another example, they lived in an old design and a good manner. I used to put the comma here and the comma here at the last part of the first clause and followed by a space and a connector end. Rule of comma, rule number 3C. If the subject does not appear in front of the second verb, a comma is generally unnecessary. Like for example, he thought quickly but still did not answer correctly. I didn't put the comma here because comma is unnecessary because the subject doesn't appear at the second verb. Another example, I saw that she was busy and prepared to leave. I put the comma here because the subject is appeared. Another rule of comma, rule number 4A. When starting a sentence with dependent clause, use a comma after it. Like for example, if you are not sure about this, let me know now. I use the comma here because the sentence starting with a dependent clause. And another example, when you are done, just pass it on the table. I used to put the comma here because the sentence started with dependent clause. Another example, if you feel uncomfortable, release it. I used to put the comma here because the sentence are starting with the dependent clause. Another rule for B. A comma is usually unnecessary when the sentence starts with a dependent clause and followed by a dependent clause. Like for example, let me know now if you are not sure about this. Another example, give me your number if you will leave. Another one, I promise you'll never regret. All of these sentences didn't use the comma because the sentence starts with independent clause and followed by the dependent clause.